All right, so I have my littlest two down for a nap, and it's the perfect time to do my read alouds for next year. So the way the Biblioplan is set up, it's set up into 6 different units. I'm going to be utilizing a lot of our read alouds using our history this year. There are a couple of fun ones that I'll be bringing in, but for the most part, we are going to be using our history to guide our read alouds. In addition to that, I am going to be utilizing Heritage Mom blog as well, and a couple of Sunlight resources. So as you'll see, it'll be a hodgepodge of different history type books to guide our read alouds. So unfortunately, I don't have the physical book of all of our books. I just ordered them last night. So there might be a couple B-rolls in here showing you the books once I actually get them in my hand, and I'll edit that right in. Now, the first thing that we are going to be doing is Heart and Soul, and we're going to be utilizing this as a spine as well as our Biblioplan. And so as we go along throughout the dates, we are also going to be reading from Heart and Soul as well. And so Heart and Soul goes in through Reconstruction, and it goes through cowboys and Indians and Native Americans and turn of the century and the Great Migration. It goes into World War I and World War II. So as we address these things in our Biblioplan, we'll then also be reading it in Heart and Soul as well. And we are utilizing Heritage Mom's Heart and Soul unit that she has available for sale on her website in order to get those extra books that we pull in to our read alouds. So in addition to Heart and Soul as a spine, I am also going to be doing Heroes in Black History, true stories from the lives of Christian heroes. So I will also be utilizing that book as a spine as well as we encounter those different time periods, just pulling out those different Black Christian heroes so that my kiddos can get a chance to read about them, and also as a taste to see what biographies we want to dive deeper into and rabbit trail into. So with that said, the first unit of Biblioplan, we will be doing The Great Turkey Walk by Kathleen Carr, and it is about 15-year-old boy Simon and his dream of getting 1,000 turkeys, I believe, across the wild west. So that's going to be our first book. We're going to be doing Across 5 Aprils, which talks about Jethro, I believe his name is, and his experience during the Civil War time. And we're going to be reading 40 Acres and a Mule. I don't have that book with me, but that is also the other book that we're going to be reading into Unit 1 leading into Unit 2 of Biblioplan. So 40 Acres and a Mule talks about these 2 brothers that end up getting a land, and their fight to keep it from, I believe it's the Night Riders. They want to come and take the land away, and it goes through their struggles as they try to keep their land after the Civil War and during the Reconstruction period. So now Unit 2, we're going into the Reconstruction era, and so what we're going to be reading is Shoes for Everyone, which talks about Jan, and he wants to create a shoe machine, and instead of having to make shoes by hand, and so he experiences a lot of prejudice and all the things while he goes through with creating that. So that's what that book is about. So we're going to be reading that one. The next book that we're going to be reading is Bird in a Box, and now Bird in a Box talks about these 3 kids that are going through different things in their lives, and they're looking for hope, and they find that in the fight of Joe Louis. And so it talks about how they become friends during that time. Next, we're going to be reading Wind in the Willows, which is about a mole and his adventures. And so this is just a fun, younger read aloud book that our littles can get into after reading all these like super serious read alouds. Next book we are going to be reading is Stella by Starlight. And so this book is kind of is set in the Depression era. And it's about a young girl who faces the violence of prejudice when it comes to the Ku Klux Klan, and as they reappear in her southern town, and what she does and how she pretty much fights fire with fire and what comes about from that. So Stella and the Starlight, or Stella by the Starlight. Next one we're going to be reading is Strawberry Girl, which is pretty well known. I've heard it a lot, but what I love about it is it's a family that moves back to Florida, so my kiddos would love that, and since they recognize the area. Now before I go on to the rest of the books that we have for Unit 4, 5, and 6, I do want to say that this is a collaboration with my girl Katie over at Life in the Mundane and her read aloud selections for this year. So definitely check out her video next to see what they're going to be reading. We're both doing the same unit in history, so you can pick up a bunch of extra books or different books that I didn't mention as well by heading over there. So her video will be linked in the description. So for Unit 4, we are going to be reading Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, which I am super excited about. I've heard nothing but good things about this book, so this is actually going to be my first time reading this book, so I'm super excited to hear about that. In addition to Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, we are also going to be reading Little Britches. So once again, this is another one that this is the first time I'm going to be reading this book, so we're going to be reading that. Next one is Unit 5. Now for Unit 5, we are going to be reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Now we've watched the movie. My son has read the book, but I've never read the book to like the littles. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be reading Number the Stars. And we're going to be reading A Nation's Hope, which is the story of Joe Louis, eve of World War II, and his fight against German Max Schmeling. And this is a picture book, so this should be relatively quick. And then our last unit, Unit 6. So we're going to be reading Miracles on Maple Hill as well as Tales of Persia. So Tales of Persia tells about Islam. They say that it can be used as a family devotional, so we may be doing it during family worship time as well, but we'll see. But it talks about Islam and different missionary stories over in the Middle East and different things like that. So okay, so those were our like unit books. In addition to that, we are going to be reading the Vander Beekers, I believe. I don't have it with me. It's coming. We're going to be reading the Vander Beekers as well during Christmas time. That is our last like read aloud type books. Now, that's just our read alouds. Our readers are intense, and there's a lot of readers for next year that we are going to be doing, and I would love to share them with you. I think it would be more of a monthly thing just because there's so many readers, and how we're doing it is more of like a buffet. Like, here's all your books. Shy, which is like my 5-year-old, here's all of your books that you can choose from to read, and then allowing them to pick their own read alouds. Allowing them to pick their own readers during their reading time. So if you'd like to see like monthly videos of what we're reading and what the kids are liking and not liking, let me know in the comments. And I hope you found this helpful to see what we're reading next year and give you some tips and tricks as to what you could pick up. And until next time, bye.